Welcome to Behind the Veil. I'm Daphne. I will be your host and guide through the journey of weddings, faith, and marriage. Get ready to go behind the veil. Today we have a very extremely special guest. This is the most special guest that we will have on this podcast. He is my lover. He is my best friend. He is the one whom my heart is fond of. He is the father to my children. He is my perfect gift from God. He is my husband. Hello, husband.
Hello, wife. Hello.
How are you?
Can't complain, man. I'm doing great.
Well, Mr. is on the podcast today. I know some people were wondering, when are you going to bring your husband on the podcast? We want to see him. We want to hear from him. Today is the day. We were planning on doing this much later on in the year, isn't it?
Eventually, yeah.
Yeah. But we've decided to bring it a little bit more forward, and just kind of get it out of the way. And he might come back, right?
Listen, I'll be back.
Yeah?
I'll be back.
Lovely. So today there really isn't much of a structure. But I wanted us to talk a little bit about our wedding planning. Yeah, because I think we haven't really given I haven't really talked too much about my own wedding planning. Of course, I've been bringing other people on to speak about their experience and stuff like that. And I thought it would be good to have you so that we can talk a little bit about our experience. I mean, we've had conversations about it.
Yeah, but not in depth or just on the pod. So
yeah, we've had in-depth conversation, I think, but just not something that is out there. Yeah. So yeah, I wanted to bring you on. Let's talk about it. So we've been married for 8 months now.
8 months. It's gone quick,
It has.
It's gone quick.
It really has. So yeah, let's start. Where do you start? Let's start at when we decided, let's talk about the engagement.
Okay.
The engagement.
Okay. All right.
When did you propose?
So I proposed on, funnily enough, it was actually my brother's birthday. December.
Was it?
Yeah, December the 17th.
I thought your brother's birthday is the 18th.
Bro, if you're watching this. So you know what, she's right. It was the 18th.
So you
it
proposed
was the day before my brother's birthday. Because the next day was actually one of my closest friends' engagement.
Yeah.
But yeah, our engagement, December the 17th, 2022.
Yeah.
Very fun time actually. Yeah. So it was just coming towards the end of my masters, so to speak.
Yeah.
Because I would be finishing my masters the next year.
Yeah.
So the whole plan was quite elaborate.
Yeah.
I think before then we'd done a lot of ring shopping and all of these things just to kind of prepare towards the actual engagement itself. So we had an idea as to what sort of ring you wanted, what sort of proposal you wanted as well. You wanted something that was quite simple, quite intimate as well. So in my mind, I was just kind of racking my brain okay, cool, how am I going to do this in such a way where she doesn't really find out what I'm doing, but she also kind of expects the proposal to an extent as well. So yeah, I kind of planned it with a lot of her bridesmaids as well, just to kind of keep them in a loop of what I was going to do. So we actually had all of them come one of them was living outside of London. So we had to make sure that at least that way she could also be in London at the time that I was to propose
that was an interesting one. I think, but you know what? The thing with the proposal is I thought that you were going to propose much earlier on. Do you remember? Yes. Do you remember that time? I remember there was a time I was I thought that the day had come and we were going out on a date, and I was just thinking, it has to be today, because we had obviously spoken about the proposal. I knew that it was going to happen in that year, and December was literally coming. So I think this was was it November? So I was thinking December is around the corner, and I know that this man wanted to propose this year, but up until now, there's nothing. And I remember we went on a date, and I was just thinking okay,
you're gonna put the question.
What's happening? And I remember nothing happened. We had a lovely dinner. The food was nice. The drinks was nice. All of that. We finished, and then you walked me back to the car to go and drop me home. And I was thinking, I was thinking, excuse me, why have you not proposed? And I remember I was so upset. I was so upset about it because I had like set this expectation that I don't know why I thought it was going to be that day, because he never gave me any indications. Yeah.
I think it was more just to do with the fact that we knew that he wanted to get married in 2023.
Yeah.
So it was like, when is this guy going to put the question? We're getting close to the time.
Yeah.
So it was probably just the expectation.
It was. And I remember when we were like, you were driving me back home and I was like proper quiet in the car.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, why hasn't he proposed type of thing? I was thinking this in my head and I was like, oh, should I tell him that this is what I'm thinking? Because I'm sure he was thinking like, what's wrong? And I was just like, nothing. Yeah. But then I was like to him, I really thought you were going to propose to me today. And he was like, oh, why would you say that?
I don't know what was going through my mind. I was just thinking, I genuinely thought it was one of those dates that we had because we haven't, I think during that time as well, we didn't really go out as much. Yeah. So it was like one of those times where it was like, oh wow, like we get to just spend some time with each other again, keep it proper intimate and stuff. So I didn't really think much of it in terms of that. But
I had other ideas in my mind. I was there trying to figure out, okay, what dress am I wearing? And then the proposal didn't happen, and it happened literally a month later. Yeah. But you did well in keeping it.
Thank you.
On a down low. Yeah. But I still knew that it was.
Yeah, do you know, with this woman, it's like you can't conceal things from her. She'll find out one way it'll be a dream. Oh yeah. Tell her, or like, do you know what I mean? I'm just
I don't do well with surprises. Do you remember when we were dating and then you used to do like those surprises and I'll just be like, bro, why are you doing this to me? Like, why are you doing this to me? But yeah, it happened a month later. Yeah. And it was perfect. He listened to everything that I said. I wanted it to be intimate. It was cute. It was lovely. Okay, so in terms of like wedding planning, do you remember that time we were in the car and we were talking about what type of wedding we wanted? Mm-hmm. Let me pose this question actually. Did you know the type of wedding that you wanted? Because I think weddings is like something that girls probably dream about. I don't know so much about guys, whether they're thinking, oh, that day, I'm waiting for that day that for our wedding or whatever type of thing. Is that something that you ever thought of?
Do you know what? I wouldn't necessarily say so. I think from a female's perspective, because you guys are a lot more detail orientated, I think with me it was more the idea of actually just getting married or like getting to the altar and being like, wow, like I've got my wife, so to speak. In terms of like the detail around it, so to speak, I feel like I did also want something quite intimate. I knew you would definitely elaborate on the whole intimacy and keeping it quite small and those who have been on this journey with us. I think with me, I did want that intimate aspect, but I didn't really think too much into it.
Okay. Yeah. No, I remember we're in the car. I don't know where we were coming from. We used to spend a lot of time in our car.
That was our home before.
That was our home. Yeah. I remember talking about how I was asking, like, do you see yourself having a big wedding and stuff like that? And you were like, obviously, like, no, that's not really something that I care about. And just like you mentioned, like, you just wanted to get to the altar, get married. I feel like that's like every guy's thing. They don't care about the intricacies of like the wedding day. Yeah. They just want to get married and just move on with life. But yeah, I remember we were talking about how, do you remember when we said that we wanted the budget to be like 5K?
Oh yeah. We want to keep it so cheap, cost effective, honestly.
Cost effective because honestly, we're very reserved.
Yeah.
As people.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever been, my husband definitely not. You've never been somebody to be like out there. Nobody really knows what's happening in your life. You're just to yourself.
Yeah.
And then likewise, you may see me, but I'd never like put things out there like that. And so when it came to the wedding, I never thought of like having like a massive wedding or anything like that. I always thought, because I'm very much somebody who likes to preserve or not hide, but like, preserve what I care about or protect. That's the word. Protect what I care about. So putting things out in the limelight isn't always my first point of call. Because the thing is, when you start to put things out there, people will have things to say about everything.
100%.
Yeah, so that was not really something.
Yeah.
And so we wanted the budget to be 5K. How much did it end up being?
Cheeky 13K.
Yeah.
13K.
13K. Wow. So ideally we wanted a smaller wedding.
Yeah.
We were even thinking go to church. Like obviously that was the most important part for us because we're Christian. That was the most important part for us. And then we even like fiddled with the idea of, oh, maybe we'll go to like a restaurant just with our close friends and family.
Literally, yeah. Or even like upstairs inside the church as well, like inside the little room, just a little something like that.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
That was, it was far from that. Far from that. So we wanted something quite small. We know that we didn't want to spend too much money. That was definitely number one. And then number two, we just wanted to get it over and done with.
Yeah.
In terms of like planning the wedding, wanted it to be quick, you know, because we had been together for, at that point it was what, 3 years?
Yeah, 3 years at that time. Long time.
Yeah, and we're just thinking, okay, let's get this wedding done and dusted. Let us start living our lives. But then, I don't know if this was like, obviously I think I was thinking about this. We spoke about, we'll be the first ones to get married in our friendship group.
Oh, yes.
So it would be nice to give them that whole experience of like being bridesmaids and having like a party. Yeah. And I think that's what kind of changed our mind.
100%. I think, as you said, it was always like us being the first, people to get married in our friendship group. And it's like their weddings will come, their time will definitely come as well. But just to also give them an example of like true love actually exists. Yeah. I think that was just a beautiful thing to see as well.
And we wanted to do like a celebration. To be honest, they were like, I don't think they know this, but they were one of like the key factors for us.
Oh,
yes. Saying like, obviously let's make it a little bit more elaborate. It can still be intimate, but let's make it an experience so that we can include our friends in the way that we want to include them and all of that stuff. So anyways, the wedding ended up costing 13K altogether, and we had about 80 guests,
which weren't too bad, you know.
It was perfect. It worked out perfectly for us. And I've got like a whole series on TikTok, on my business TikTok, of like how we managed to spend 13K for the wedding. So go and check that out if you want to know how we did that long process itself. How did you find it?
Do you know what? I don't even want to say that I was stressed per se, but I think at that time I had a lot going on. So first and foremost, I wasn't working. I was just finishing my master's. Yeah. Things were also transitioning with regards to church as well.
Oh, yeah.
And then just like family related things as well. So my first priority at that point in time was just finishing my master's, getting through my master's, and then making sure that at least that way we do have a bit of money on the side as well. So I mean, definitely at that time I wasn't working full time, but I did have other things on the side. I was doing like Amazon shifts as well. I was working bank shifts at the hospital. So there was a little bit of income coming in at that time as well. And
I think what set us up quite good was the fact that we started saving way before before even thinking about like the wedding. We used to just, obviously we were working, and then every month it was like, you're saving, I'm saving, let's just bring the money together and just keep it in like one space. And so we were doing that for not for the wedding in particular, just saving for saving. And so that helped us out quite a bit. Like you said, he was doing his master's, and I think I had also, I think it was the October, no, I can't remember, but I had come out of work as well.
Yes, yeah.
My contract ended.
Yeah. And
so I didn't have like a full-time job as well. And I remember I was searching and searching high and low. I'm sure I applied for over 200 jobs.
That spreadsheet.
Yeah.
My goodness. Yeah.
Yeah. I applied for over like 200 jobs, and it was an interesting time. But what helped us was the fact that we had built up some savings beforehand. And we were happy to kind of use that for the wedding. And then he was doing some bank shifts. Obviously, he was doing his master's, and he was really trying to focus on the master's. And so when it came to wedding planning, I didn't want to put too much on him because I knew that obviously this is important. He needs to finish and he needs to finish well, and stuff like that.
But even saying that as well, it's like, I think, not to say that it might have been a bit of pride from my perspective as well, but I didn't want you to worry too much in terms of like the wedding planning and stuff, because I know it is a massive thing.
Yeah.
And to be fair, that's kind of your bag anyways. You do this whole planning stuff. That's all you, when it comes to me, if I'm to plan, it might go left.
No, you did well, because you managed to plan the
True, the proposal.
the proposal.
Okay, fair play,
Babe, do you remember? You know, that's just reminded me of that one date that you had planned.
Oh my goodness. Massive L.
Oh my God. That date was the worst, but the best date at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, it was just so chaotic. It was so chaotic. Do you remember it?
Yeah, we started off in like Greenwich. Greenwich side. I think we got breakfast on that day.
Yeah.
And then we had to drive from South London or South East all the way to West for like golf and I think putt shack or something. So yeah, even that journey there, I don't know why here's me thinking that London, you can get from one place to another in the space of like 10 minutes. Clearly I was wrong, but yeah.
That was like, he planned so many different things for us to do on the day. And it was all over the place. So we were just running up and down like headless chickens, and it was just so hilarious, but not hilarious at the same time. But it was just cute. But yeah, you're not bad at planning.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay, so you're saying you didn't want me to worry about planning too much.
Yeah, definitely not.
Yeah.
I think it probably is a man thing. I think most guys can probably relate. They don't want their significant other to be just worrying about so many different things.
Yeah.
They want that burden to be lifted from them. And I think that's something that I even wanted to kind of put on my head at the same time as well, and just kind of help alleviate that pressure from you.
Do you feel like you were involved in the wedding planning?
I would say I was.
Yeah.
I think just in terms of like questions in which you would have, for example, so let's say, this decoration or this decoration or how many guests we wanted to have, that sort of thing. So I think I would say you were taking a lead, definitely. But in terms of my input as well, you're always coming. Yeah.
I think that's like one of the ways to include guys in things. Obviously, we know that it's not the same for every guy, but most, they don't really care too much about the intricacies of the wedding. But I was also sure to make sure that he was also involved in the decisions that were being made. So what do you think of this? What do you think of that? And he will let me know like what he was thinking, and then we'll kind of decide things together, putting together the guest list, all of that stuff. We did that together, you know, the food tasting, that was really fun.
10 out of 10. You
know, going to view venues, that was really fun. So there were some like really good things that came out of it. Although you were trying to juggle, you still managed to help out where you could, so that was good. Okay, so in terms of like so we're going to look at like the pros and cons of like our wedding planning process, and then kind of give some advice, I guess, for those that are planning weddings. So let's start with, we'll start with the cons and then we'll go into the pros. So what were some of the cons from your experience of the wedding planning?
Some of the cons. I think probably one of the main one that comes to my mind is like navigating families.
Yeah.
Navigating families. I think that's just number one, is the key one, in the sense that my family's they're a lovely bunch of people once again.
Yeah.
But when it came to the actual wedding planning process, everyone has their own opinions in terms of what they would want you to do at the wedding and what they want you to get out of the wedding, so to speak. Bearing in mind, I'm the youngest of 4.
Yeah.
So it's like
the baby.
Being a baby, you know what I mean? So like being a baby as well, it's like sometimes your voice can get hindered. And like sometimes they're probably thinking, he may not necessarily know what he wants from the wedding, so to speak. So in terms of that was definitely one of the hardest hurdles I had to overcome.
I would second that. I think obviously family, people around you anyways, when you're planning a wedding, they have expectations. I think everybody has expectations of, I know you and you might like this and you would like this, or people want to give like their opinion of different things that you should do and what you should consider and stuff like that. But I think the issue comes in where yes, you can make suggestions. Like people can make suggestions about what they think you should do for the wedding and things that you should consider. Yeah. But it's just that suggestion. So you can choose to either take it or leave it.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it becomes a problem for quite a few people because, I've given you all this advice and you didn't want to take it. But the thing is, with advice, I can choose to take it or leave it. And you can give all of these different things and things that I should consider. I may have considered it and I thought, okay, this is not really something that I want to do. And I may have considered it and I thought, okay, yeah, this is something that I really like to do. 100%. So it gets, it can become really, there can be quite a bit of friction when it comes to expectations that people have of you. Yeah. And what your wedding should look like and the things that you yourselves have decided. Yeah. And I think we were having quite a bit of friction in regards to that because we were standing our ground on things that we wanted for the wedding. We wanted it to be intimate. We wanted an 80 people wedding and we're both African.
Yeah, that's for that one.
And that just wasn't going to cut it. Yeah. Obviously that was a problem, but I feel like we kind of expected it a little bit in terms of even the numbers.
Yeah, to be fair, actually, I feel like, we weren't, 80 itself, some people may even say that's still quite big to an extent, but to be honest, I feel like 80 was perfect.
Yeah, I think in regards to, even when I told my friend, I remember at first, I was like, I want to have a 50 people wedding. She was like, you're joking. Yeah. Literally. You must be joking. You must be having a laugh. Yeah. And I was like, no, I'm not joking. And it was like, just kind of like, obviously she was like, okay, you do whatever you want to do. Yeah. But I think, when it comes to weddings and families, I think family was really like the hardest part that hit me, especially because I'm thinking when it comes to family, it's a very sensitive topic for me. Yeah. So when it came to wedding planning, I was just like, oh my God, how are we going to do this? Yeah. And one thing that I would say is it's always good to have like mediators. Yeah. 100%. When it comes to family, if you know that there are people that you tend to have quite like a lot of friction with within the family and stuff like that, it's always good to have somebody that they would listen to, somebody older, somebody whom they believe is wiser. Because I think family, one of the things was just like they felt like they weren't really included in the planning of the wedding. But it was for us, it was like, okay, we found the vendors. We paid deposits. Literally. There was really nothing for anybody to do.
They just had to turn up.
There was literally nothing for anybody to do after that. If anything, it was like the little small bits that we wanted to do around the wedding. So people that were coming to the church but weren't coming to the reception, we needed food for that. So food to be made for that and stuff like that. So when it came to like the planning itself, I found wedding planning to be really like seamless. The hardest part is taking time to actually find the vendors. And then once that's done, you pay your deposits and there's not really much to it.
To be honest, even just on like vendors as well, I think with our first venue that we wanted to get. Long day.
Yeah. Long day. We had to change the venue partway through and we lost the deposit as well. That
one hurt my heart.
That was so annoying. I think it was like, how much did you pay for the deposit?
I can't exactly remember,
I think it was like £500.
Something along those lines,
I think it was somewhere around there. The venue, so basically they gave us like a venue coordinator that we were dealing with at the beginning, and she was so lovely. She done the whole we went to do to go and look at the venue, the viewing, that's it. We went to do the viewing and it was lovely. We were like, this is the place that we want. This was like the first venue that we actually viewed. We only ended up viewing that one venue and we're like, we don't want to spend too much time going up and down and looking at other places. So we did that. And then we put down a deposit. And then partway through, they decided to change the was it the venue coordinator? Because the initial one that we had, she left.
That's it. She was leaving.
She was leaving, but she didn't even tell us that she was leaving. So they gave us somebody new. And that person, her communication skills was just really bad. Terrible. She wasn't accommodating. It was just taking forever to hear back from them. And we were just like, if this is how it is right now, we don't even want to risk it for the wedding day.
Yeah, it'll be a long journey.
So we had to quickly change. Yeah, quickly move from that and find a new venue. And it took quite a bit of time.
It did, to be fair, yeah. Just because, especially trying to do the wedding in London.
Yeah.
That's also another factor, man. Prices,
yeah.
In general, like, wedding prices can be a lot, but in London, it just hikes up like 2 times, 3 times, even more.
Yeah. And we had like obviously we're working with a tight budget.
Literally.
A really tight budget. And so it was like, it had to fit within a particular budget. And so it was really hard trying to find a secondary hotel. But we ended up having a wedding at a hotel. And we had like an all-inclusive package. Obviously, we got the food. They'd done the food for us, the drinks and everything like that. Obviously, we had to forego the African dishes.
Do you know what it is, honestly? There's rice at home. Do you know what I mean?
We had to forego the African dishes. Literally. But we're just like, honestly, it doesn't matter. It's not going to hurt you to, have a British meal, or I don't know. I don't know what to call it.
You won't die. Literally.
A non-African meal at a wedding. Eat it, go home and call it a day. Go eat your rice at home type thing.
Honestly.
Yeah. So that was that. We were talking about what? Challenges or cons. Yeah. Okay, yeah, so family was a major one. You're talking about family. One thing I hated about the whole planning process was that dowry.
My goodness.
That dowry situation.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're African. I'm Congolese, he's Ghanaian.
Yeah.
And obviously he's coming to collect me from my father's home. And what that means is that he obviously has to pay a bride price.
Yeah.
Had to pay a bride price. And that was I don't even know. How do you feel about that whole like bride price thing?
Do you know what? With me, it's more of the idea that I had to go and do it rather than I wanted to voluntarily go and do. So I think I'm a person that believes in honor in the sense that if you've raised up a child and then you brought them up in this way, then I want to honor the family in that capacity. Yeah. But it's almost like my hands were tied. Yeah. And I had no way to go and collect my wife without paying this dowry.
Yeah.
This dowry, so to speak.
And I think it's important that you said, obviously you wanted to honor. You went about like even asking for my hand in marriage the right way. My dad was happy that you came and done that. And it was like, yeah, like if you guys love each other, I'll go and marry and do your thing type. And then when they sent the letter, so like I said, my family dynamic is really, what's the term?
Obviously, it's even interesting.
It's interesting. Yeah. It is, yeah, something like that is interesting. So my mum lives in Congo and my dad is here. So obviously, my mum had to send her list and from her side of the family, and then my dad had his list on his side of the family, and they had to bring those lists together, put it all in one letter and basically give it to his family. And obviously I had a look, I had a read and everything before passing it on to him, and I was just like, excuse me?
Yeah.
This ain't cute.
It's not cute at all.
This ain't cute because obviously with the bride price, there's a list of things that they request from the groom and his family. Yeah. And then there's also like a lump sum that you have to give.
Yeah.
But because of how my family is, the family dynamic is, everything, you basically had to give a lump sum.
Yeah.
So instead of bringing the crates of drinks and the different outfits for the different parts of the family, the animals or whatever else they asked for, it basically got condensed into a lump sum.
Yeah.
And that lump sum, I was having issues with it. I said, this is ridiculous. I remember, guys, like, obviously he was doing his masters.
Literally.
And he was picking shifts here and there and stuff like that. And we're just thinking, like, what's going on?
Yeah, I think also, like, the money could have been used elsewhere. Yeah. I think that's what's hurting me the most. Because, like you said as well, I wasn't working properly at that time. Yeah. So every single penny, pound I could pick up, it would be going towards something wedding related or this dowry. Yeah. So it's like,
and life afterwards.
Life after.
Yeah.
Well, literally.
So it was just it was too much. So when like the lump sum came, everything was just, it was a crazy, like it just wasn't like it just didn't make sense. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. The amount didn't make sense. And so what ended up happening is I was going back and forth, literally trying to fight my family. Like, no, I am not sending this letter to his family. I am absolutely not doing that until we sit down and revise this thing. And so that part really took a lot out of me, because it was just every day back and forth, every other day just arguing, and it was just too much. And I remember like one time I even ended up having like a panic attack. And me, I'm not somebody who, I'm not an emotional person like that.
Nah, not really, man.
Yeah, I wouldn't say. I'm not an emotional person like that. But when it came to this wedding, Jesus, all types of emotions.
No, I even remember that day because I think I must have come back from a shift or something. I was literally in my car, and then that's when I got your call.
Yeah, I remember I called him like the day that I was having a full-blown panic attack because I was just over everything. I gave him a call and I couldn't even speak. So if you know what, like I was on the phone, I was like hyperventilating. I couldn't even speak. And obviously this man is on the other side just thinking, what's going on?
I'm just there panicking, like what's actually happening? Yeah.
What's happened? Like I couldn't speak. And all I heard from him was, I'm coming. And I was just like, oh my God, I can't do this. Honestly, it was dramatic, but yeah. Anyway, so it was like loads of back and forth. And I know that obviously that wasn't like a pleasant experience for you.
Nah, do you know what? It wasn't a pleasant experience, but I'm also glad it happened to an extent.
Why?
I think it gives me, even though like you're always gonna learn who your partner is or learn who your person is, but it just also gives me a bit of insight into like the low times as to what it could look like in our marriage. So how is my response going to be even when we are in the same household? And for instance, my wife is upset. How am I going to make sure that I'm there for her? What am I going to do for her? And vice versa as well. When I'm upset, how is my wife also gonna help me in that capacity as well? So it's a bit of an eye opener as well. You know?
Yeah, honestly, I think that whole like wedding planning process, we were praying, we had to, because I felt like it was just so many different things. Because like I said, the wedding planning, the vendors, all of that was fine. But when it came to like dealing with family, dealing with expectations, dealing with everybody's emotions, everybody wants you to do this. Don't do that. Add this. Don't add that. You can't do this. You can't do that. And it just became, it became overwhelming. Yeah, that's the word. It became really overwhelming. And we were just trying to stay afloat, and we're just like counting down the days like, when is this day coming?
Can't reach the altar.
Yeah. I think this is why I said it's like important to have like mediators, people who can like, once you've reached your wit's end, or even before you reach there, just having people that go on this journey with you. So I'm really grateful for my bridesmaids.
10 out of 10, man. Honestly, those girls.
I didn't know I could love them anymore. Like, I feel like during that planning process, my love for them grew even more. And I remember because every other day we were on the phone. This happened. And it's like, no, Dav, everything's going to be okay. And we'll be praying and we'll be doing all of this stuff. And I was just like, my girls. This is why I'm always screaming like the importance of choosing the right people to be on your bridal team.
100%. Yeah. I couldn't agree more, man.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree more.
Honestly. Like, how were your groomsmen?
Yeah, do you know what? My groomsmen, they were great. I think, like you were saying as well, it's very important to choose your groomsmen correctly. I think I'm one of those guys where it's like, I associate myself with a lot of people. I'm very friendly and stuff, but there's only a select few who I would also like let in on my deep things I'm going through. And I think, just choosing my boys and those people was so I think it was a good process for me and a good thing that I actually went through as well. But definitely I think it was a good experience as well, just choosing those guys who I knew would ride for me till the very end as well.
I know that you guys were doing like prayers constantly. They were like praying with you and helping you in that.
Literally, even during those as well, like the prayers itself, sometimes I physically couldn't even jump on because of how busy things were, and it's like they were still praying for me, like interceding, asking me like, so like, what's going on? What do you want us to pray for? What are you about? And it was like, yeah, these lot are my brothers for life.
Yeah.
Because it's like, even as the Bible makes mention of, as iron sharpens iron, a friend sharpens a friend. And like, these guys, they were riding for me till the very end.
Yeah.
And like, even till this day as well, it's like, they're still checking in on me every single step of the way. And even when their time is coming as well, it's like, I'm doing exactly the same thing.
The same, yeah.
So yeah, it was a beautiful, beautiful process.
Man. Yeah, no, it's good to have, like, I think in the midst of all the chaos that can happen around weddings, you definitely need those people that will keep you grounded, people who will pray with you, people who would advise you, people who would tell you if you're overreacting. Because I had my friends who were telling me, okay, maybe you shouldn't have done that, or this is not, obviously the way that they're treating you is not good, but this is how you could have like reacted to that a little bit differently. Or even if this has happened, don't let that kind of dictate the next, like the relationship that you have with those people afterwards and all of that stuff. And so it was good to have those people kind of just giving you that counsel, because you're in such a bubble when it comes to like planning your wedding and stuff. And you can just get so lost in that. And you need those people to bring you back to reality. But yeah.
It's great.
No, it's interesting. So, okay. What other? Okay, so family was a big thing. Make sure you have... I think my emotions were all over the place during the wedding planning process.
Okay. Yeah,
Did you sense that?
Do you know what? To an extent, I would say, but I think it, like we were saying, it wasn't exactly like us two and planning a wedding. It was the external factors which were kind of influencing and just having an impact on just how you were feeling, so to speak. And I sensed it a little bit, to be honest. Yeah.
Obviously, I was trying to keep it together as much as possible, because I realized, and I think this is one thing that we might not, as brides to be, we might not even consider the fact that the groom is also experiencing this thing for the very first time. So this planning of the wedding, this was your first time. You've never planned a wedding before. You've never been a part of this like season of life before. So I was also mindful of, I can't keep dumping everything on you. And of course you were doing your masters as well. It would have been really unfair. So I was also mindful of, I can't dump everything on my fiance. Because he's also got, I'm sure he's feeling all types of feelings as well. He had his own feelings. He was dealing with his own personal things as well in regards to dealing with families and all of that. He had his own feelings towards those things. And so as brides, I would always like encourage us to check in with, in as much as they are looking out for you, also look out for the groom, because there are things that, might also be bothering the groom, and there are emotions that he's also feeling, because I have to pay for this wedding, I have to pick colours for flowers, nobody cares about these things, like that's not the thing that's on my mind. I'm thinking of, I need to what's it called, how's this girl, I need to look after her, I'm trying to prepare to be a husband, all of that stuff. Like these are the things that the men be thinking about as well. And so just showing grace to them as well, not neglecting them in the process of planning a wedding. Because I think one thing that we always do, and I love this about like our relationship, is we're always doing constant check-ins.
The monthly check-ins.
Like the monthly check-ins, whether it be weekly. But when it came to obviously wedding planning, it was constant. It was just like, okay, babe, how are you doing? What can I do to help? How's the masters? Do you need time off? We're not going to spend time thinking about the wedding at this time. So you have to be really intentional.
That's the thing, like putting boundaries in place and like putting parameters in place to make sure that we're actually okay, even in the midst of, like you said, it's a bubble planning a wedding. So it's like, let's put this bubble aside, let's step out of it. How are we? Actually? So
no, it was always good to do those. Like I'm somebody who loves to ask questions.
That's for that one.
I love asking questions. I love checking in. Like literally, I have a list of questions every time. I'm like, babe, so how do you feel about this? How am I doing as a wife? So it's always good to have like those questions, even whilst you're planning the wedding. Take a step back, gather some questions, look into how you're both feeling, and try to help each other in that arena.
I think even just with regards to that as well, it's with with me as well, it's like I was quite a person who would practically suppress a lot of things.
Yeah.
And I think to an extent it didn't really help. I think, when it came down to, like I was saying before, make sure that you're okay.
Yeah.
Even with this massive masters that I'm carrying on my head, preparing to like become a leader in church and stuff as well. Like those aspects as well. Like there was a lot going on in my head, and it's like you definitely don't shy away from that as well. In terms of just like, babe, how are you? Like checking in constantly. Which is one thing I'm always grateful for as well, just in general. Like you're always checking in. You don't take no for an answer.
Yeah.
It's like you want to really know how are you actually doing.
No, I think it's important because they talk about mental health in men and stuff like that, and you have to check on your husband, check on your boyfriend, check on your fiance, check on them, and go deep, like not those surface level conversations. I don't like surface level stuff.
Oh, that's rubbish.
Honestly, no.
Rubbish, man.
So it's always important to have like those conversations. The pros of like wedding planning.
Yes. Do you know what? Honestly, it sounds so cliche, but generally, the whole process itself, from food tasting, going to look at venues, looking at where you're going to live, like just the fact that you've got your career on board as well. And it's like you two are basically going to be living in the same place for the very first time together. Obviously, we knew each other before we got married, university times. And it's like we always had that same friendship group anyway, so we're always around each other. But it's like you guys are now going to be under one roof, and it's just a beautiful thing to like look forward to in terms of that. But yeah, I honestly love that part. Just that whole process.
I think we were really, really eager. What I used to say is like, I can't wait to get to the other side. That was like the term that we use often. Literally. Oh, we can't wait to get to the other side. We can't wait to get to the other side. Or we can't wait until our joy is made complete. We can't wait. That was like our term. And we're so looking forward to that. And like you said, all of those like fun things like food tasting, all of that. That was a good experience. Another thing that I would say though is like the people. Yes. Everybody was so lovely. Like everybody was, from the time that we got engaged, everybody was really excited. Oh, this is amazing. Like we can't wait for you guys to marry, all of this stuff. And then how giving people were as well. Yeah.
Do you know what? Like, I think both financially and just even their time as well. Like literally the smallest of things like, I think even just one thing in terms of like us moving into like where we are now. So like they were like, oh, when are you guys moving in? Do you need help like moving your stuff from your parents' house to here and stuff? And it's like, wow, like that's a massive load that's been lifted.
No, that literally so many things that we had not really expected people to do for us. Like they came and showed out. So I think I made a video in regards to like one of the ways that you can help those who are getting married. If you want to be able to gift them and you want to help them, try to take, how did I phrase it? Try to take a financial burden that they have. So we were really fortunate in the sense that our honeymoon was paid for. My wedding dress was paid for. What else did we have? My cake was made by one of my bridesmaids. Didn't pay a dime for that. Photo booth. That was at our wedding. Didn't pay for that. Certain evening like snacks and stuff that was there. People went out of their way to make it for us. And it was just like people were so giving. And then even like on the day of the wedding, people gave like there is no tomorrow. We had upwards of gifts of like £1,000, £800, £300. Like people were giving, and it was just like, wow. Yeah,
I was genuinely shocked.
Yeah. Do you remember after the wedding? Obviously, all the stuff were packed, and then we were in the. Obviously, this was like I think the day after. We were in the room, and it was like just counting money. Like, oh wow, just wallowing. We hit the jackpot. We were just counting them bills. Like, oh wow, it was a humbling like time as well. Just like, oh, like people really care about us, and people want to give, and people like, it was really nice. I think that was like that blew my mind, honestly.
Touched my heart, man.
Yeah, people were really giving. And I think people that you would not even expect to do things for you will come out and do things for you. Our church family, geez.
10 out of 10, man, honestly.
Everybody was just amazing. Yeah. Honestly, like, I can't say enough good words.
Yeah. Honestly.
And it's good that people, like, I don't know, it made everything else a little less, I don't know what the word is.
Like daunting or like
it lightened the load. That's it. It lightened the load, even with the craziness that was happening surrounding the wedding, and how people were helping and wanting to always check in and seeing how things were going with us, and then the counselling was great as well.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Honestly,
just the faith aspect was absolutely key.
I feel like that's basically what's kept us, what's also keeping us, and that will continue to keep us as well. Honestly speaking, I think just the faith, and just because the counselling itself being done by people that we knew, like properly, like they were riding for us before we even got married throughout that whole process, and them actually seeing us get married as well, just beautiful, man. Honestly, the sound advice, just checking in on us once again, like how are you guys doing outside of wedding planning, like it was just amazing.
I think that faith aspect, we can't stress it enough. You have to pray when it comes to planning your wedding. I know that I've seen like loads of TikToks of people talking about how when they got engaged, that's when they felt like they were being attacked.
Oh yeah.
Like they were just fighting each other left, right and centre and stuff like that. Random arguments and stuff like that. But we thank God that wasn't like us. We weren't arguing. We were just in prayer. We were in prayer. We said we can't do this by ourselves. Like the way our emotions were set up, especially for me, the way there was just so much load. We're just like, there's nothing that we can do but pray.
That's it. Yeah.
And that kept us grounded. And we know that we had people around us that were also praying with us. And I can't stress that enough. It's really important.
100%.
Yeah. How did you find the wedding day?
Do you know what? Wedding day was so calm. I think up until the lead up of it, people ask me, oh, like, are you stressed? Like, are you, what's running through your mind? I was just like, do you know, I'm so calm. I was so calm.
Yeah.
Like the actual wedding day itself, walking into church, and it was just a great thing because we literally said we need to be punctual. And the thing is, it was a thing where we said it, but we already knew that we were going to be on time, if that makes sense, because we're not people that like to be late. We say 12, we're probably there at 11:55.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So yeah, wedding day itself, I was so calm, so chilled, man.
Yeah.
Honestly, I loved it.
I think we were just looking forward to that day so much.
Yeah.
And when it came, it was like, well, there's really nothing else that you can do. Like whatever happens today happens. We are here. Our main thing was get to the altar. Yeah. Say I do before God.
That's it.
Have that ceremony.
Yeah.
And step out of there. Whatever happens later, like that's not really what we care about. But literally what we cared about was getting to that altar and saying I do. And I remember after that, I'm just like, oh, thank you, Lord.
Thank you, Jesus.
We have crossed the line.
Literally. Yeah. The church service itself was, man, that was amazing.
It was.
It was amazing. I think that's when it really got to me. It was like, it's actually done. Like all of this, let's say, stressing, all of the back and forth, the emotions, just the constant turmoil and stuff, or like these little opinions and stuff, like it's all finished, so to speak, and it's just me and my wife, like that's it.
It is finished, as the Lord said. It is finished.
It is done.
Yeah.
Honestly. But
No, I loved it. Obviously I think I lost my voice on that day. I was a bit sick. I don't know where that came from. To come and I'm sick. Whether I'm sick or what, I will have fun. I will enjoy it. And it was perfect. Beautiful. It was intimate. It was beautiful. Like the people that were there, they loved it.
I think that's what surprised me as well. Was like people were genuinely saying that this is probably like one of the best weddings they've been to.
Yeah.
And that was just so beautiful to hear, man.
Literally, up until this, we hear people like, you know what? Your wedding made us realize that, like, it is possible to love. Yeah. And I was just like, this is amazing. Like that's what we want. We want like our relationship to be, what's the word? To be an example for people. And to just, to show people that you can have a beautiful love. You can have a beautiful love story. You can love each other. You can be patient with each other. You can have it.
It's
possible, essentially. And I'm so glad, and we're so glad that people were able to be like, yeah, you made us believe in love again and stuff. I was like, hey, wow, look at us. Who'd have thought?
Nami.
Yeah, so it was amazing. It was a great day. Loved it. Oh yeah,
Beautiful.
absolutely. And I think the beautiful thing about it was people were like, this is such a you wedding.
Yeah. When I heard that, I was just like
this is such a you wedding. Like, if there was anybody to pull off such a intimate, great wedding, it will be you.
It will be this woman, literally.
Like, it reflected us. Like, it was a reflection of us, and that is what you want your wedding to be. Yeah. And as much as people will come and say, do this, that, don't do that, you know the vision that you have for your wedding. And so, in as much as possible, of course, you want to. You might want to adjust certain things if that's what you want, like you feel like doing, but don't change the vision that you have for your day so drastically
100.
To the point where people are just like,
what is this?
I didn't realize that you even like this thing, or I didn't know that this is something that you would do, or there needs to be, your personality needs to be infused, or people need to see you in the day that you've curated. Of course, you want everybody to have fun, and you want to be inclusive of other people and think about your guest experience and all those things. Yeah. But it's at the end of the day, it's your day.
I think that's what it was as well. It's like you said, it's almost your trademark, your signature. Make sure that you kind of infuse that on your actual day as well. And I think I was even thinking about that a couple weeks back in terms of just like, God willing, you only get married once.
Yeah.
And it's like, if there is a day potentially in your life where you just want to make it all about yourself, not being funny, this has to be the day.
That's the day, yeah.
It has to be the day. So it's like, when you're looking back at these pictures or like these things, you want to have memories where it's like, oh my goodness, like this was the best day of our life.
Yeah.
Or like, we really trademarked this day.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It was us.
It was us, man.
Yeah. It was beautiful. I loved it. Like, I would absolutely do that over again.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Fantastic. Well, now we've been married 8 months. Wow. Just briefly. Yeah. How are you feeling, mister? Like, how is it having me as a wife?
Do you know what? I have the best wife in the world. I can't even lie. Like, she's amazing. I think just even before, like, one thing in which I love about this woman is the caring aspect, or how selfless she is. She's always just asking me, like, generally, how are you? And I think one of the main things in which, it's probably just a guy thing once again, but one of the main things which guys love is food. Like, genuinely. And it's like, when I am coming home, for example, it might be a long day, like there's actually food there. And it's something I don't really take for granted as well. It's like, just even having food on the table, for example, or just having a meal prepared, for example, or just in that capacity, being able to serve each other. That's just the best thing which I love to come home to. Like, just seeing you, just embracing you, like just chilling, having food, watching Netflix. Like, we're just chillers.
We're chillers.
We're chillers. But I love it. Honestly. 10 out of 10. Highly recommend it.
Highly recommend. I second that. Highly recommend marriage. Is beautiful. And I think these last 8 months, I can't complain.
Yeah.
I can't complain. It's been amazing. It's been blissful. That's the word that I would always use. Yeah. And I'm so looking forward to like what life has to offer, what God has planned for us in the future, and I know that it will just continue being amazing. But yeah, it's been great. It's been great so far, and we're always like, we do this thing, like obviously I told you guys that I love asking questions and stuff, so every month we do like a check-in, like, okay, how's everything going? What haven't I done well? What can I do better? How can I love you in a way that you want me to love you more? Like, what can I do? So it's always like constant check-ins, constant questions, constant communication. And I think that's one thing that we did really well when it came to even our dating stage. Like, we communicate about everything and anything. It's just, there's just conversations everywhere.
Flowing left, right, center.
Conversations everywhere. Like, I am in his mind, he is on my mind, and like, we're constantly checking in with each other, talking about everything.
No stone unturned.
Yeah.
No stone left unturned at all.
Yeah. So there's like, everything is just there on the table because like, this is my guy.
Yeah, man. My G.
Like, he's my guy. Like, we love it here.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's amazing.
And I think just even during like our dating period as well, it's like, that 1 year during COVID, it's like, because we're doing the whole long distance thing, and that really, it really got to me, man. It really got to me. I can't even lie. And I think that's kind of what boosted our communication.
I think so. Yeah, I agree. I think that 1 year of being apart and trying to do this long distance, there's nothing that you can do but talk.
Literally, it's by force.
Like there's nothing else, like talk, communicate, because we were still getting to know each other and stuff like that. And so we just built like a really solid foundation. Prayer, Bible study, all of that stuff. We were doing that at the very beginning, and we kept that going. And I think that also helped us in what we have today. And 100%. Honestly, I can't complain. Honestly, I can't complain.
Not at all, man. Not at all.
Well, Mr. Adade, my husband. Thank you for gracing us with your presence on the podcast today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, maybe if the people want a couple of years down the line, you may come back. Obviously, you're usually behind the cameras and setting everything up for the podcast and stuff. But today we decided to bring you to the forefront so people can see the man that I'm always raving about, the man that I love, the man that I say is my gift from God. But yeah, you're amazing, and I'm glad to be doing this live with you. And thank you. Thank you for coming on the podcast.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's been great.
Until next time. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe and also stay connected with us on social media. Until next time, stay tuned for more glimpses behind the veil.